at the White House. I want you to know there's studies out that have, there's a proven record. That young man there he hit the target right there. He made a good statement. You should listen to it because it's proven. You can check with NIH or any study institute, check out these books at the public library or whatever you want to use. The love starts within the womb. You start teaching that child in the womb while you're carrying that child. No color has anything to do with it. It's all in the heart. Because we're now interracial. We're married to white, black. I have it all in my family. We all have whites in our family. So you just can't say white, black, yellow, green. You're doing the same thing Trump doing. Muslims, don't think about that. A human being is a human being. And you should treat the person the way you would like to be treated. That's what the Word of God. And it works out every time. It's nothing wrong with having the agape love for everybody. And if you have knowledge, be willing to share it. And it's nothing wrong, like the lady who called before me. I know we have a passion for everything we do, but please have the meekness of our God to share it with people so they can receive it in their heart and not let it fall off on stony ground. And I thank you for taking my call because you're doing a wonderful job, young man, because you hit the nail on the head. We can talk for days about they end up electing the person that's of a different color. The African American people have billions and trillions of dollars, but it's how they spend their dollar. But we have the money. Don't tell them we don't have the money. We just don't spend it the way we should spend it. And thank you for taking my call. I won't bother you anymore.
Oh, no. You know, Bob, please. We hope that we bother next week if you give us a tune in.
I just want to say in response to that, and I agree with the spirit of the Queen Mother's message, but I want to say this, psychologically speaking. One of the reasons why we remain backward and underdeveloped as a people is because we are the only non-white ethnicity in these United States who do not put themselves first and foremost before they consider other people. We are the only non-white ethnic group in the United States who is not passionate about their position amongst other people. When Chinese come to America, they come to build a cultural empire. The Arabs in Dearborn, they're here to build a cultural empire. The East Indians, they are here to build cultural empire. They're not looking to share. They're not looking to integrate. They're not looking to participate. They are looking to dominate. And as long as black people are comfortable having nothing except the goodwill to be shared with other groups, we are always going to be dead last. Your first obligation is to your family, your community, your people, and then you look out for everyone else. But we want to care about everybody else before we taking care of our own house. And that's why we at the bottom and everyone else is laughing at us.
Do you think that has something to do, though, a lot to do with a lot of people like to say slavery is over, but they're still
slavery never ended.
They're still lingering, they're still lingering effects.
It ain't even lingering. I would argue that slavery did not exist before 1865. I would argue that slavery began in 1865. What am I saying? Nat Turner wasn't a slave. Harriet Tubman wasn't a slave. Frederick Douglass, Sojourner Truth, Martin Delany, they were not slaves. You could not force them to work against their people's own best interests. They were free. See, when people are free-minded, you got to put chains on them. When people are free-minded, you got to beat them. When people are free-minded, you got to shackle them and cut toes off and castrate because they free. So you got to do what? Dominate them because they free. A slave is a person who don't need a slave check. They don't need to be beat. You understand? They will perform the deed of the master without even being told. Our ancestors under so-called slavery was free. We the slaves today.
Well, I guess I was just talking about as far as comparing other cultures that come here, because their culture, how they grew up, was a lot different than what we experienced here. So sometimes that kind of I have to push back on when they say, oh, these other cultures, they come in here, they achieve, they do better than we are. And I'm just talking about whether it started in 1865, Jim Crow, whatever. There are lingering effects from all that institutional racism, that structural violence that unfairly compares us to other cultures that come over here and succeed. Which goes back to my point about this equity training when it comes to not just white teachers, but I don't even think a lot of African Americans. In fact, I know we don't understand those lingering effects.
But it's the community's job to do that.
And that's what I just said in the first place. So until we take control of the education for our kids, it needs to be flipped upside down. The school of education right now it's useless. It's actually useless for our kids. In this day and age, if our kids are still doing that white baby, black dog baby, and they're still picking the white baby, we have failed just as much as the institution, because we're supposed to have more education now. So this whole way that we teach kids, especially our kids, it just needs to be flipped upside down. The school of education basically needs to be wiped out, but we need to take control of how the school of education should be when it comes to teaching our kids.
But if you won't give the black girl a white doll, why would you give the black girl a white teacher? If she don't need a white doll, she don't need a white teacher either. In fact, it's because she has the white teacher that she wants the white doll. Why do you even have public school in Detroit? The only reason why you still have public school, and you won't have it 30 years from now, but the reason you have it is because you got too many white women who got bills to pay, food, clothing, and shelter for their families, that they cannot be all laid off at once, because it will be political disaster for those elected officials who currently hold office. If most teachers were black, public school would have been destroyed a long time ago. It only exists to pay the mortgage of white women. They use white women to miseducate our sons, and they use their white husbands to lock them up after they get miseducated.
Caller, welcome to the Teacher's Lounge. How can we help you this evening? Welcome to the conversation.
Good evening, Teacher's Lounge and panel. I just have a question for Mr. Umar Johnson. I noticed a couple of months ago you were on the Marisha Dada show, and I guess you had a project coming in and, coming to Detroit and stuff like that with kind of narrative of getting the charter schools together. Do you not know how the charter schools were formed? And do you not know the statistics on our kids and our kids' future with going to and coming from a charter school? The data, the 99% of black kids that go to charter schools, for one, can't really make it in society. Two, they're failing. Three, the school teachers that they do have there are not qualified to teach the kids. So going back to two, those things all go together. You have the kids not being taught by qualified teachers. You also have kids that's not actually getting the actual opportunity at a good education by being a charter school.
Have to wrap it up,
The only thing you have in a charter school is reading, writing, and arithmetic. You have no electives, you have no after-school programs, you have no athletics or anything. It's just like you just there. It's like an academy. And you know what academies are. It's like a second hand to an academy.
Thank you for calling in,
Academy is to send you to military, my friend.
Caller, thank you so much. I guess the caller wants to know your opinion of charter schools.
Certainly. Well, first, let me correct the assumptions. Okay, as a former charter school principal and a former charter school vice principal, I have no interest whatsoever in opening a charter school. If I did, I could probably have 25 of them across the country. Charter schools, by law, are alternative public schools. They are owned and controlled by the state, and they can put you out of operation whenever they feel like it. I'm a Pan-Africanist and a Garveyite. We believe in owning our institutions, not leasing them from white folks. So I'm not opening no charter school. I don't want to open no charter school. I am opening an independent African institution totally funded by the black dollar.
So would it be a freedom school?
It will be a Pan-African nationalist, unapologetically African, alpha male institution.
Boom on that. Boom on that.
Well, you know, we're just real quick. We, unfortunately, when it comes to the teachers, we're not getting enough black teachers, whether they're male or female.
They're systematizing them out of opportunities.
We could debate about that, but we're not saying, hey, black teacher, no, we're not going to take you. Come on in, white teacher. I mean, we are 250 teachers short as it is.
Yeah, but who's controlling the hiring? You're not. White folks controlling the hiring. They systematically make sure the jobs go to their folks with a few going to us. No community. Chinese people wouldn't allow it. Arabs wouldn't allow it. Mexicans wouldn't allow it. East Indians wouldn't allow it. European Jews wouldn't allow it. Anglo-Saxons wouldn't allow it. You can't name a race on this planet who would be absolutely comfortable letting their former enslaver educate their children.
So what are we supposed to do about that?
Create. 2016, we spent $2 billion on Air Jordans, $4 billion on alcohol, $9 billion on weave and perm, $650 million on McDonald's. We bought twice the Mercedes-Benzes of white folk, even though they have 3 times the wealth of black people. What we're doing right now with this Christmas shopping, this is financial betrayal. How we got time to be buying gifts when our children don't even have a decent school to learn in?
Would you attribute that to the fact that I would look at African Americans as the youngest group out of what you name, Mexicans, East Indians? We're African Americans are fairly new. What I mean by that is, you know, we haven't been around that long. We just got enslaved, got over here, got mixed together. We don't really have a culture. So
we have a culture.
It's kind of like
it's African culture.
Yeah, but we weren't
but
taught
we don't
that
want it because we've been taught to hate it.
As a whole, we've adopted European culture.
Yes.
And that's why you see the over shopping and the overcompensating with the Jordans or whatnot.
Exactly.
Where do we go from here to create a culture for ourselves? Because now when you think of the culture of African Americans, I hear the hip hop movement or the hip hop generation, and that just doesn't. That seems like a slap in the face to me to attribute our culture to just saying hip hop,
rap, and basketball.
Well, pretty much, yeah. So where do we go from here to to have something that's our own? Because when the Chinese people come over here or the Indians come over here, they have their own language, they have their own religion, there's their own sense of pride, their own culture. We don't really have that. It's like kind of like, you know, we've just adopted the European culture.
You did. Here's the situation though. You could have had cultural restoration. It's been 153 years. In 2 years, we'll be celebrating the quadricentennial of black arrival in America as enslaved Africans, because we were here before that, 1619 to 2019. We're about to hit 400. The problem is, black people don't want to be who they are, okay? They hate who they are and will never be accepted as what they want to be, okay? We have an identity crisis, and we have a psychological homeless problem that nobody wants to deal with. Black people are psychologically homeless. We know that we ain't white, but we damn sure don't want to be black. And that contradiction, that disturbance, that inability to resolve those two competing impulses is at the center of our issues.
All right. Caller, welcome to the Teacher's Lounge. How can we help you this evening?
Good afternoon, everyone.
Good evening.
Evening, rather, instead of afternoon. I just want to thank you, Dr. Umar Johnson, for a different idea of how we need to go about educating our children. And I hope that it will give our address and everything where we can donate money to help you get this thing started and build it. I know of another group of excellent black men like you called Israel United in Christ. And they're also setting up black schools for our children, you know, the same as you are. So I hope we can get this thing working and get our own for once and for all and stop depending on the oppressor for giving us what we need when we already got what we need and have always had what we need. And we're not new to this land over here. Some of us are already here when they got here. So we've been here all the time. And everybody just have a good night.
Thank you so much,
Thank you,
caller.
caller.
Well, you know, with three, and I know you know, you're an educator too, but you're talking right now to three classroom educators sitting at this table. And I guess everything that you say about the consumerism and what we're spending our money on, I mean, we've been talking about that for years. And I guess my problem is the solution. Because we can sit here and we can talk and talk, but everybody sitting at this table knows, as long as we've been teaching, the kids that are exiting our classrooms are not ready for the 21st century or for life right now. So I guess when you put everything that you said, you know, it's true. We are lost. We have some cultural hatred. We have a lot of those things. But I'm looking for some, what can we do? What can we do now?
Can I jump in?
Institutions and organization. That's the only thing that's going to save black folks.
Now, maybe it's just me, but I think we're in pretty good shape. I don't get me wrong, everybody has. Yeah, I said it. I think we are in pretty good shape. I think we are in pretty good shape. We're not perfect, but listen, we've only been here for a short amount of time. And to survive the way we have, to build the way we have, to have acquired what we have acquired,
I'm not
even
content.
if it's material, it's something. I think when we put our minds to it, we can do anything.
Oh, of course.
We've proven that.
When we put our collective mind.
Yeah, I just
again.
want to change the narrative that, oh, black people are so messed up. No, we're not. We're as messed up as we want to be.
I agree.
I think we are surviving people. I think we're resilient people. I think we're beautiful people. And I think we will be here well before other cultures die out. So what uplifting can we leave our audience with? We're not downing us anymore.
No, I think the whole conversation was uplifting. See, here's the one thing we got to understand. And this is a weakness of us as a people.
Come on, bring it.
And this is one of the reasons why black consciousness has been short on results.
Okay.
Because we want to do the feel-good thing. Damn the feel-good thing. Deal with the reality of things. When somebody comes to therapy, okay, we want to do a historical assessment of their alcohol, historical assessment of their diabetes, historical assessment of their low self-esteem, historical assessment of their domestic violence. Only when you understand the history thoroughly can you solve the problem. For example, we know the schools ain't working, but you ain't going to fix them by knowing they ain't working. You got to know how they don't work. We don't understand the operative mechanisms of the systems of white supremacy that keep us entrapped, and that's why we stay entrapped within them. But here's the other thing I wanted to say. Today's racism is economic. They're keeping black people disenfranchised and powerlessness through controlling the resources, and that's the banks. Whoever controls the banks controls the wealth and controls poverty. Whoever controls the banks controls the wealth and controls the poverty. There is no bank in Detroit that's going to finance black liberation. There's no bank in Detroit that's going to finance black liberation. So we have to put our Christmas money and our Thanksgiving money and our Easter money and our 4th of July money together and finance our own liberation. Here's the problem, though. Here's the problem. The average black person is not willing to sacrifice financially for our freedom. That's our Achilles heel. We don't want to sacrifice financially for black freedom.
You know, we have been just told that we have about 2 minutes left. Doc, let's break this down for a little bit. And callers, you know, our lines are lit up. We're not going to get to you this evening because I just want to bring this conversation down to what I call some silliness. Sir, what's your favorite cartoon?
My favorite
Yeah.
cartoon.
Yeah, that's
It
right.
probably. Is there a Marcus Garvey cartoon? Is there a Malcolm X cartoon? Is there an Ida B. Wells cartoon out there?
There's the Boondocks.
Is there a Fannie Lou Hamer? Not the Boondocks.
Daffy
Nah.
Duck was black.
Yes, Daffy Duck was black with a mouthful of ebonics. Northwest Activity
Yes.
Center, New Year's Day. Make sure y'all come out. The Prince of Pan-Africanism, Kwanzaa Day 7, New Year's Day 1, January 1st. Northwest